And I still believe that personal connection is still a core factor in the business. We are in the people business. That's why we say when we talk about empowering people that it's all about the people. How we did do that personal connection may be evolving and tweaking a little bit. That when I think about where IDDBA is and our resources, professional development is and has to continue to be a key focus for us. In leadership development, I think is and has to be a key performance piece for us as we work.
Welcome to Fresh Take with IDDBA, your source for essential insights, trends, and professional growth in the dairy, deli, and bakery industries. This is Kat Shanahan, Vice President of Marketing and Membership with IDDBA. Traditionally, our Executive Aisle series features our President and CEO, David Haaf, conducting high-level interviews with industry leaders. In today's episode, I'm sitting down with David to share highlights from the recent IDDBA brand refresh. Welcome to the hot seat, David.
Well, thank you, Kat. It is kind of interesting to be on the flip side of the coin, but looking forward to it.
I think we're going to have some fun today. Why don't we get started by having you refresh our memories? How long have you been with IDDBA?
Well, I am coming up on 3 years in April, and time flies when you're having fun. It seems like just yesterday.
And tell us a little bit about your background. I know you've shared that on some of the executive aisle, but maybe just a few things that might help set the stage for today's conversation.
Yeah, sure. So, most recently I come from the retail background. I was vice president of Deli-Bakery and Starbucks operations for Steve and the KVAT Food Stores team. It's probably better known as Food Cities out there. And a longtime member of IDDBA and sat in on the board committees and never missed an IDDBA and so on and so forth. And so it was a great opportunity to look at expanding the horizons and being able to interact and have involvements with all aspects of the industry. So super excited to be here with the IDDBA and work with our board of directors and our internal team and just be that part of that glue with the community of IDDBA.
So even though it's only 3 years in your current role, it seems like a lifetime going to IDDBA
Oh,
events.
for sure. Yeah. Been a part of IDDBA for probably 20 plus years.
So during that time, how has the role of IDDBA changed or evolved? And you can answer that in the context of, your president and CEO had. And if you want to give us a little bit of a treat even further back, you can do that as well.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point. When I was looking at some of this, I was really saying, it reminded me that our 6 guiding influencers haven't changed. They still represent our industry and the community, regardless of the changes and evolution of that. And, if I just look at a couple, 2 or 3 things that's really impacted the industry or evolved, I would say the first one is consolidation. That's happening on both sides of the coin, whether it be retailers, the larger retailers purchasing the smaller ones, or quite frankly, in the supply chain, the large supply companies buying the small ones. And if you think about what one of our 6 guiding influencers is, it is recognizing consolidation. And, so what that really means in the marketplace is fewer companies are now controlling and dominating the share across the retail and the supply chain. And so I think what that means for us in one of those changes is causing businesses to adapt and put more emphasis on strategic planning to remain competitive. I think when you look at turnover, that is prominent today. It's been excelled the pandemic a little bit. And I think that touches all aspects of our industry. I think it's the retail side, the supply chain side, the support team side. All of those companies and businesses are experiencing turnover. Well, that touches our guiding influencer of empowering people, right? And so I think when you think about where we're headed as an organization and some of the resources that we have to offer today, we've got great resources, we've had great resources, and we've got a lot to focus on, but we might have to rethink a little bit how we reach out to our members and future members in the industry. And I still believe that personal connection is still a core factor in the business. We are in the people business. That's why we say when we talk about empowering people that it's all about the people. How we do do that personal connection may be evolving and tweaking a little bit. That when I think about where IDDBA is and our resources, professional development is and has to continue to be a key focus for us. And leadership development, I think, is and has to be a key performance piece for us as we work forward. And all that's going to evolve around the next gen. So as all this turnover is happening, you've got a lot of new faces, maybe quite frankly, a few of those faces that don't even come from our industry. We see that in real life situations, both here in our own organization, but definitely out in the retail side. And so how do we continue to be that resource to help those new faces understand what our industry is and how we can help them grow professionally and as a leader?
David, I'm curious when you're talking about the kind of face-to-face, that personal outreach, that networking. You've been involved with IDDBA for so long. What were some of the things that when you were a new professional coming in, how did others make you feel connected to IDDBA? You know, for all of the people that might be coming to the show for the first time in 2026, what can we as an IDDBA community do to help welcome and create that people first focus through all of our initiatives?
No, I think it's a good question, Kat. If I think back to my 20 plus years of involvement with IDDBA, it all starts at the show. I mean, that is obviously the one can't miss that I always had checked off on my calendar. And what are we doing at our trade show, not just to present innovative products, but provide networking opportunities to people to mingle. So we like to refer to ourselves as that community of the IDDBA. And I think that really does describe and define us because it is such a close-knit industry. It's a large industry, but it's a small world sometimes.
Yeah.
Whether you're switching to different companies or you're moving into a different aspect of the industry, everybody seems to intertwine. And so I think that that's one of our strengths that we've continued to do, whether it be through our show, whether that has been through some of our special venues and events. And I think moving forward, and we'll touch on this a little later, is how do we continue to connect the community through whether it's podcasts like we're doing today, our webinar series. How do we open that up for the next gen? And that really kind of leads me into that third point I was going to make about where things are evolving. And that's really on-demand information. Yeah, so AI is dramatically and rapidly changing how we do business, how we do life, quite frankly. And so when you look at AI and you look at social media and how things have evolved, even when I first started with IDDBA, it can't always be waiting on that quarterly report or that monthly update. Those are important and things that we want to look at. But I think our consumers, our members, I think our attendees at our show are constantly looking, and we just finished a survey with the BIXA team on that, and people are looking for that quick, on-demand information. And so that's one of the things that we're going to have to be cognizant of as we evolve in what we do to try and support our community.
We're going to talk about the brand refresh because that was an exciting initiative that we've undergone here at IDDBA. Before we pivot into that, David, one of the things that you mentioned earlier was that while there has been so much that has changed at IDDBA and in the dairy, deli, and bakery industries, our guiding influencers have remained very constant throughout your time affiliated with and leading the organization. You've touched on a few of those. For people who may be new to IDDBA, can you share a little bit about what do you mean when you say guiding influencers and how did we formalize those?
Yeah, so those are the 6 influencers that we tie into our mission and vision. We believe those are the 6 key impacts that impact and affect our businesses every day, whether I'm a supplier, whether I'm a retailer, whether I'm a broker, importer, exporter. All of these are things that all businesses can relate to, and that's why I talk about things like empowering people. Food safety is and always will have to be a part of what we do, regardless of where tech goes. So when you look at those things, those are the 6 guiding influencers that we make our decisions based off of and impact and tie in with both our mission and our vision.
And I think from, if I'm putting on my marketing hat, the really nice thing is that we have been building on those and they continue to remain core to our organization. And I want to get into the brand refresh piece of it. It's not necessarily about reinventing the wheel. It's not about coming up with a different version of who we are as IDDBA, but it's refreshing the guiding influencers that we have. So I'm curious, how did the prompt come up for the brand refresh? What was going on within the organization that made you and or the board and or the executive team really think about a refresh for our external facing assets?
Yeah, great question, Kat. And it's really all of the above when you talk about who and how we came to those decisions. And really, while we were looking at post-pandemic, we really said it has been quite a while since we had looked at our long-range vision and planning. So it was kind of a unanimous decision with myself, with our executive committee, the board of directors, and certainly our internal executive team that it was time to sit down and spend some time in long range planning. And so we're super excited in that we've wrapped up about 18 months of good, constructive planning and meetings. And I think the part that leading into where we got with the brand refresh is it really through that process, we are aligned. When I say we, the board of directors, our executive committee, and our internal teams, that it was time to take a look at our identity and say, how do we refresh, not recreate, but how do we refresh our identity and where we're going long term? And so out of that process, we took a look at our 6 guiding influencers, which we all agreed really hadn't changed. There may be some evolution in those, but hadn't changed. Our mission is still very clear, and our vision is still very much relevant. And so what we wanted to do is say, how do we impact all that and where do we want to go with that? And that's how we came up with our 3 strategic imperatives. And, I'm always a believer in trying to keep things simple. So it's evolve, show, extend the impact, and expand our audience. Those are 3 simple things that we feel are very relevant for the success of our organization, but more importantly, the support of our industry. And so when we sat down and looked at all those, and then we started looking at things internally of a new website was necessary. And then we started putting together a number of different conversation pieces. And the one thing that I can say honestly, even before I came on board internally with IDDBA, is that there still was a void in understanding who we are and what our focuses were. And so that's where we talked about what could we do with the tagline to help us pull all that together. So I think when you look at it, it's really all about aligning our guiding influencers, our 3 new strategic imperatives, and really focusing on that next gen of our industry to help develop and provide leadership there.
And I know that you've done some long range planning every couple of years, and that's been an initiative at the organization. How long had it been since you had done a brand refresh or any sort of updates to the logo?
Yeah, the best we can find on date, it was 1991.
Wow.
And so that's what, 35 years, right?
Yeah. So I like the process that you were talking about, making sure that it was rooted in the foundation of IDDBA and what that means to the people that we serve. Tell us a little bit about the process for designing the new logo. I imagine having not redesigned it for 35 years, there's a little bit of pressure there. So I'd love to hear about what was that process like designing the new logo and then establishing the thinking outside the aisle tagline.
Yeah, absolutely. And anytime you're dealing with logo and brand refresh, there's some sensitivities, and rightfully so to that. And so we wanted to be very cognizant and make sure that we did our due diligence to understand where had we been, where had we gone, and what was the thought processes on that. And I would just start by saying kudos to the marketing team, as I know you've joined us in that process, but the marketing team, our communications and marketing committee was very instrumental in that and bouncing ideas and food for thought. And then obviously our supporting agencies, whether it be our brand lift ad agency and supporting resources, all involved in that process. And the one thing it really started with before it even got to be a logo was the tagline. And so unfortunately, too many times when I was out there, whether it's internally now or previously, is when you say IDDBA, you really got 2 responses. They either said, love the show, never miss it, right? They think of us as our annual trade show and convention, which is great. we want to be best in class and certainly one of the top of mind on that, or they simply just didn't know what IDDBA is.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, what we saw in some of our responses when people would find us online or through our app or through the social media is they still weren't really clear when they did find us who we were and what we stood for. And so we said, how can we do something quick, short, sweet, to the point? And what I found with a lot of other associations is they did have a tagline to kind of paint that picture, if you will. And so as we looked at that, we said, how can we put a quick reference together for new members, industry leaders out there that look at IDDBA and help them understand who we are and what our key focuses are? And so that's where we came up with the thinking outside the aisle, right? So when you think about who we are, it's our three categories. Dairy, as we define it, is specialty, artisanal, value added. You look at the deli and bakery that speak for themselves, but as we refer to in the grocery industry, we're considered perimeter departments, much like meat and produce are. And so when we looked at that and said, okay, we also want to be innovative and known for thinking outside the box, if you will. So I think it was a great spin to really think about putting the thinking outside the aisle, which helps us reiterate that fresh perspective and our commitment to the perimeter departments and helping them grow and become successful.
So you're touching a little bit on my next question about what you hope that this tagline communicates to current and future members of the IDDBA.
That's a good question. And I think for me, it's go-to resource, right? If I'm to really sum it up short and sweet, we want to be that go-to resource for the industry, for industry insights, for networking, for innovation, for transformative education, for premier events. All of those things are really designed, and what we want to do is to help our members and our industry have lasting success.
Do you have a favorite part or favorite memory from working on this project? I know it debuted with a beautiful new streamlined website. We've got the new logo and the tagline. Do you have a favorite memory or other sort of aha moment during the process?
Well, there's several. I mean, obviously, the part that was exciting is when we got to unveil it at our annual business meeting here in Chicago this past fall, and seeing the look on everybody's faces and just kind of that fresh start and fresh feel when it went across through the board of directors and all our guests. But, I think it was interesting that thinking outside the aisle came together nicely. The logo, it brought a lot of conversation, but all constructively. And so when we presented the new logo to our committees and to our board of directors, just kind of looking at that from a fresh perspective. And we kind of refer to it as the maze internally, but really the logo was designed to be that new fresh perspective, to add a modernized look and feel. And so we utilized some of our next gen, if you will, to help us with that food for thought. And so when the three highlighted pieces come up, that maze is really a grocery store and all the aisles that make it up, and our three respective departments as we know them today being highlighted in that maze. So I would say the logo work and then obviously just presenting that to our board of directors and guests at annual business meeting were two highlights.
That was a fun day. It was early in my tenure here at IDDBA, but it was a lot of fun to see everybody's reaction. And, it's almost like you're sometimes with logos, you're laying in a field looking at clouds. Everybody sees something a little bit different. Everybody remembers something a little bit different, and it means something a little bit different to everybody. So it was fun being able to see that kind of percolate through the board and our committees at that event.
Well said. Agreed.
We've talked about the change in the logo. We've talked about the change on the website. Any hints you can give us for potential changes coming up with the show in 2026?
Yeah, I could share a few things. It's full speed ahead. We're just a few months off from IDDBA 2026 in Orlando. Looking forward to it. But I think when we look at some of the fresh perspectives and the things we're trying to accomplish, we really are going back to those three strategic imperatives and say, how can we use our trademark trade show to help us bring those to reality for our members, for our attendees, for our exhibitors, and everybody involved. And, one of the things is retail store tours. I can say that as a former retailer, I always never missed an IDDBA, but I would always go in advance and I would take my leadership team, whether that was the chef and category management, and procurement team, we go in a day early and we go around and look at retail stores, right?
Yeah.
That's what retailers love to do. We love to look at ideas and get new perspectives and maybe occasionally steal an idea or two. That happens, right? So one of the things we initiated last year that we're going to continue to grow and enhance is adding that retail store tours to that Saturday before. We're going to have a nice air-conditioned chartered coaches to take people around. We've hand-selected some really talented and great retail in the Orlando market, so I think that's one thing to look forward to. Brand new this year, the events team is working on the first inaugural year of the Innovation Showcase Awards. And so while we're not ready to unveil all those details, it really is going to give a lot of our exhibitors a first-time look at a way to really get their new products out and shout them out. And so we're going to recognize them with some awards on that they can put in their booths, that they can use in their promotional activities and their social media, and really help them recognize that talent, recognize those great new products, and help shout them out to our attendees to say, hey, you need to come look at these great new items. I think the other thing we're looking to expound upon a little bit is Close-Up Kitchen. So that's a new venue that we'll be putting on the show floor that will allow us not only our meet and greets with some of our celebrity guests as well as some chef presentations, but an opportunity to do some demonstration and demo cooking and present some opportunities for some of our exhibiting companies to yet take their products and their opportunities a little step further in showcasing that to all of our attendees. Champions of Change is not new, but we are looking to really shout that out and take it to the next level. We're enhancing the awards presentation. We're shifting that to Monday evening, which will be tied in with our Monday night party that we do and that's become so popular. We're looking to expound that with some MC and maybe even some celebrity showcase there to really help recognize our outstanding leadership that's in our industry. And then obviously the Monday night party kind of goes without saying, but we're always looking for ways to expand that and make it bigger and better for all of our attendees because we know networking is one of the key pieces to being at IDDBA 2026. And so we've got some exciting new things coming for that.
And as David mentioned, it is all things show. We are full steam ahead, so please keep an eye on your email. If you're not receiving emails about all of the great events and opportunities that are coming up associated with the show, make sure you log into the website and sign up so that you get the information about the new product showcases, our celebrity speaker announcements. All of that will be coming your way pretty soon.
Absolutely.
David, is there anything else you want to share with our audience today?
I don't think so, Kat. I think thank you for the time today. It's been great talking about our new brand refresh, and I just think we've got a lot of exciting things coming for our members, for the future members, and certainly for the industry. And we're just excited about where we're headed and taking IDDBA into the future, thinking outside the aisle.
Thank you for joining us today and sitting in the hot seat, David. It was great to have you on the show.
Awesome. Thank you, Kat. Appreciate it.
Fresh Take with IDDBA drops 2 episodes a month on the first and third Tuesdays. Our next episode will feature our What's in Store series, bringing you the latest market trends you need to know. To ensure you don't miss that, hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you for tuning in to Fresh Take with IDDBA.